Go slow into worlds where words unfold maps. Find whole, make whole, steer clear of traps, see gaps. Steps steeped in insight, free flight. Fright, break form, flow, fly, fall, crawl, creep, quietly feel fear, steal hope, slide out, trip up, slip away, skip over, flip through, flop down, hop on, bend. Pretend the mind is a friend. Don't forget to dismember memory. Remember to write what's left. Know that it binds you like wind blowing from inside. Even air has songs like you, never stopping. They just keep moving.
Well, that was quite something there from Lebo Mashile. It just makes you fall in love with poetry and the spoken word as we pay tribute to Brawili this morning. Well, our next guest holds a PhD in African and Black diaspora literatures from the University of Cape Town, and she's currently a lecturer at Stellenbosch University. Dr. Uhuru Portia Phalafala has written a thesis on South African poet laureate Keorapetse Kgositsile. Her research is in Black Atlantic studies and endeavours to expand its scope to the global south by mapping Kgositsile's transnational activities via a trajectory of 4 main movements he was directly and indirectly involved in, namely the drum era, the Makerere Conference, the Black Arts Movement, and Medu Arts Ensemble. Dr. Phalafala now joins us from our Sea Point studios to tell us more about who Brawili was according to her research. Very good morning to you, Doctor. Now, when were you first aware or introduced to the late Brawili?
Good morning, Pal, and good morning to the viewers. I met Brawili in 2012 when I registered for my PhD, as you have already pointed out, at the University of Cape Town. I had wanted to really interview Brawili and fill the gap that was left by exiled writers in South African literature, and talk to him about his work in order to try to repatriate his work and his legacy, and in order to reintroduce him to the South African public and the South African curriculum.
Now, what else was it about the relationship between Black South Africa and Black America in the 20th century that caught your attention? And why was Brawili the person to go to, your go-to person for your research?
The relationship between Black South Africa and Black America stretches far back, and I just want to highlight one of the earliest ones between the co-founder of the ANC, which Brawili was later a member of, the co-founder Saul Blaikie, and one of the biggest Black intellectuals in the US, W.E.B. Du Bois. These two had a relationship over such a long stretch of distance. They exchanged letters, they read each other's manuscripts of their books, and they kept in touch, and W.E.B. Du Bois even welcomed Saul Blaikie to the US when he was touring to promote his book, Native Life in South Africa. So following in that tradition, I saw Keorapetse Kgositsile as being directly in the lineage of Saul Blaikie on the basis of him being a member of the ANC, and on the basis of him really drawing from the Setswana language and literature in his own work. So 50 years later, we have Brawili, who goes into exile in the US, stays there in the height of the civil rights movement, really at the height of Black Power movement, and when there really was an emerging powerful movement of arts called Black Arts Movement. And I wanted to really look at how, today we understand the relationship between African Americans and Black South Africans to be that Black South Africans have really mimicked or modeled themselves on Black American culture. But I wanted to show the reverse inspiration, the reverse influence. I wanted to look at how a South African goes to the US and impacts that culture and political production. So Keorapetse Kgositsile was the right person to show such relations and to show this reversal of influences.
And what were some of the highlights for you in terms of, and I can imagine there were many, could be a loaded question, but just some of the highlights for you having embarked on these different projects? What kind of insights did you get from who Brawili was as a man? And if you could take us through one or two of the most fascinating outcomes of your research, just in relation to Brawili and his work and contribution to the broader creative space.
Thanks, Pell. The moments and the highlights are many, but what stands out for me from the onset is the manner in which Brawili took very seriously the work that we were doing. As much as I found that I was completely humbled and honored by the mere fact that he would dedicate 6-hour stretches of time to talk to me during my PhD research, and he would just give in a very utmost generous way. He was completely selfless, and he would share very intimate details of his life, and he would share relationships that he had with really giants and colossals of diasporic cultural and political movements, and he was just so humble. He never had airs about him. He had such a grace about him, and I learned so much that his own poetry and his philosophy and approach towards life has really shaped my own, so that when my PhD was extremely difficult because really there is no research that has been done, not a lot of research on these South African exiled writers, so that you would have to really go around and do the research yourself. He was so supportive in getting me in contact with a lot of his contemporaries here and in the US.
Dr. Uhuru, unfortunately we are out of time.
Supportive.
We are out of time, but I know that you're currently writing his biography. How far are you with that? And I know writing is a process we can't rush. But could you give us an idea as to when we can expect it?
I expect to spend the next year just finalizing, because this is the work that I started with my PhD already. So I expect to finalize the biography, but as you already pointed out, it's a long process. I'm looking to be done with the biography in February next year.
All right, Dr. Uhuru Portia Phalafala, thank you so much for your time. While she holds a PhD in African and Black diaspora literatures from the University of Cape Town. She's currently a lecturer at Stellenbosch University, where she teaches world literature, African and Black diaspora literatures, as well as poetry. She's currently writing the South African National Poet Laureate Keorapetse Kgositsile's biography, as she's just stated.